Hi everyone, I'm here and today I'm talking to Mario Ferrer. He is a content designer I've known for a while from the community. We've kind of bumped into each other a few times, and he's just quite an inspiring character, very involved in the content design community in Spain. So I thought it'd be really interesting to hear from him today. So hi Mario.
Hey Rachel, thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I mean, taking into account everything that's happening nowadays, I'm good. So yeah, we're taking it one day at a time.
Yeah, exactly. So you're in like a really interesting position at the moment because you're in Barcelona, aren't you? And
Yes.
the content community seems to have grown sort of quite exponentially, I guess, over the last couple of years. So how have you seen that change since you've been there?
Well, the thing is, content design here in Spain is still like a very new thing. I, I'd like to say most of Europe, except for like you folks in the UK. Content design as a practice is very, very, very new, and not many companies know what first what it is, what the role is, and how the role provides value to their teams. So for me, it's kind of a story about like sort of like a year and something ago, I was the only content designer or UX writer, the thing that
Mm.
the company had in my team, and I was like, I feel lonely and I have all these things that I don't have answers or problems, and I just want to on one side I want to like rant and vent, but on the other side I really want to nerd out with people that understand what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
there has to be more crazy people out there like me. So what I did is I just started, I mean, reaching out to people over Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram, or people that I knew that had some sort of like a same role or something similar, and we started creating a community.
Hmm.
And that was a little bit over a year now, and we started doing meetups and we started doing talks and workshops, and then more people started coming in and more people started coming, and now it's like a thing that people
Mm.
actually recognize and ask us about. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. It's great to see that, one, there's a lot of interest for it, and
Mm.
two, there's a lot of people that are actually investing their time, because everything we do is completely free. Nobody pays for anything.
Mm.
So we basically work on whoever gives us their time and their knowledge. So
Hmm.
it's grown a lot, especially here in mostly in Barcelona, but also in cities like Madrid and Valencia and Bilbao, and sometimes in
Hmm.
Sevilla and in the south of Spain. It's starting to move, so we'll see.
So you're spinning off your events into other cities yet?
That's the idea. The thing is, we need people to help us out, because it's just one of me, and I got two small kids and a wife and a family, and
Just get them
and
involved.
I tried, but yeah, apparently it's I can't be in more than one place at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely we're looking for people to help us out.
Excellent. And so what you've been running, I've seen that you've shared sort of pictures of meetups, and what kind of events have you found work quite well in Barcelona?
Okay, so what we found in Barcelona is we're sort of like, the idea was to do a mix, right? First, we began with this whole like UX writing 101, or content, what is content design, what
Hmm.
it does to get people interested. So
Mm.
what we ended up doing is we're doing sort of like more introductory talks with people that are currently working in here in Barcelona, and sometimes people that come over from Madrid and other places. And then on the other side, the other thing that we've been trying is to do either workshops or talks that go a little bit more in depth into like a specific theme.
Mhm.
So we've done workshops about like how to design error messaging and what it all entails, how to work together with the designers and the devs to make sure that everything fits in together.
Mhm.
We've done another talk was about like a little bit more like complex projects and how to introduce localization into them. So it's been like a variant of two things. The last one that we did a couple of weeks ago, again, it had to be online. So this time what we did is we contacted people that are starting communities in Latin America. And this time we
Mm.
had someone from Chile and someone from Mexico and someone here from Spain. And each country sort of like gave us what they're doing and sharing some knowledge. So that was super interesting.
Oh
We
wow.
ended up having, I, I think there was like 460 something people that connected for like a 2-hour Zoom No,
That's
it wasn't
amazing.
Zoom. It was a GoToWebinar. It was crazy because I was on like on the answering the questions and everything. I was like, where do so many people come from? So many different places in the world that are interested in content design. I was like, this is crazy. And everybody's super nice, Rachel. Everybody just wants to learn. And the people that know a little bit more just want to share, which is what I find brilliant about this community.
Yeah, it's really supportive. Actually, I was going to ask you, because I think content community is very friendly and supportive, and we've got a lot of very active Slack groups and on Twitter and things. So, what
Mm.
during these kind of weird lockdown times, how's that worked? How's everybody been supporting each other?
Well, I think what we've done is we have this sort of like small. It used to be small. Now it's like around 200 people.
Mm.
We have a Slack group, and we have several channels, and every channel like has sort of like, let's say, a known or leader, and they sort of guide the conversation. What we try to do from time to time is have these like checkups to see how everybody's doing, if somebody needs to talk. And when you start talking shop and people get interested, but then there's this spin out. So like, well, we're hearing a lot like, I'm losing my job, or I'm a freelancer and I'm having less hours. Can you help me out? And the beauty of it is collaborations have started to like come up.
Yeah.
So people that, like, for example, this week I need at least 5 to 10 hours to make sure I can do my monthly budget. There's someone that says like, oh, you know what? I have this for you, or I know someone that, and connections are being made just out of like conversation,
Oh,
which I
that's
think is
nice.
brilliant, because in the
Yeah.
end is I think the whole spirit of not just the content community here in Spain, but what you folks are doing over in the UK and worldwide is like,
Mm.
how can we help each other do more of what we love? Because if there's more, then that means there's room for all of us. I love this concept that sometimes I get to speak with Jane Rufino. She says it's like, we have to make sure we don't do any gatekeeping. We
Mm.
have to make sure that we actually open up those gates and let everybody in and see how we can all work together. Because in the end is what you do, you're going to be very good at what you do, but what
Mm.
that other person does or that other person does is different. So
Mhm.
let's balance out the skills instead of trying to compete all the time.
Yeah. Have you found as well that when people have been, if they're out of work and they're looking for other opportunities right now, I found there's quite a lot of the importance of content design is definitely like coming a lot more to the fore, especially during these times where people are having to really quickly implement changes on their site and make sure the messaging is correct. Has there been sort of similar amounts of volunteering opportunities? Because I've certainly kind of got involved with a couple of small projects where they're just like, we just need to get this stuff out really quickly, can you help?
Yeah, there's on the content design side, there has been, but not as many. I can tell you for a fact, like at least on a Spanish level, it's more on like on the comms side.
Mm-hmm.
Like the companies are realizing that they have no idea how to communicate on
Yeah.
times of crisis, because this never happens,
Yeah.
right? So the way companies communicate, at least here in Spain, at a PR level, is drastically changing. And I think the next step will be, how do we bring that into our products and services? Because definitely there's a
Mm.
whole bunch of information, and it doesn't have to be something flashy like uh, what we did over at King. King partnered up with World Health Organization, and we sort of created a campaign with information, everything. That was a huge deal. But I can tell you, I've been helping, for example, here in my town. I live in a very small town outside of Barcelona. How to set up a small website where people can register and say, like, for example, I'm an older person and I need people to go and buy me groceries. This was at the beginning of the quarantine. Now it's a little bit easier. Or I'm a young person and I can go and buy groceries, or I can go and get you things. And just starting connecting people, sort of like a time bank.
Mm.
It's just for a really small town, but it was
Yeah.
amazing, because
Yeah.
I was like, I've got this skill and there's this huge need. I mean, of course, when I'm done with my job at night and when the kids are finally sleeping, I can
Yeah.
dedicate some time to this, because I know it's gonna help. It's
Yeah.
gonna help.
It's quite nice to feel that you're doing something, isn't it? Because it can feel, you can feel quite helpless,
Yes,
being stuck at home on lockdown. It's nice to be able to feel that, if you're not a frontline worker, there's still skills that we can use
exactly.
to
But see,
help.
that's the thing. I mean, obviously, frontline workers are very visible and they're super important, and it's great. But
Mm.
the rest of us, we have skills that can help those people too.
Yeah.
I mean, I was speaking with my My brother-in-law, he was a doc. Well, he is a doctor. He's a physician. He actually used to work in the NHS a long time ago, and now he moved over in Switzerland, and he learned how to code. Right. So what he does is he makes sure the information architecture from everything that goes through a hospital it makes sense to a doctor.
Yeah.
So he sort of like translates from doctor to code to doctor again. That's how he explains it. And I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So he was showing me like all the information he's putting together for sort of like a decision tree when someone gets infected with COVID-19, how to action upon. And it's like, it's so brilliantly simple.
Yeah.
That it's amazing. It's like, yeah, but you need to know so much stuff in order, because he tells me like seconds and this can save a life. So the fact that he knows, he has all this medical background and he knows everything, and now he knows how to code, and now he knows how to put that into a structure that when someone comes in, they can have a decision tree super quickly and they can understand exactly what's happening and the amount of things that they need to help this person that's coming in.
Yeah.
That's saving lives.
That's brilliant.
From a backseat.
Yeah, that's great. I think that those sort of skills are definitely becoming much more important now. And I don't know if you find that sort of people that are coming more from a traditional copywriter background and moving into, maybe doing sort of more of content design work now because they're working on things like, UI copy or journey flows and things like that, are having to think much more, just naturally having to become like much more user-centered in how they approach content. Whereas, if you've come from a traditional copywriting background, you've not necessarily had to think from a user's perspective so much. It's been like pushing out messages, whereas now it's like very much, okay, the most important thing here is the end user, how we want them to think, how simple things are. Have you found that to be the case?
Yeah, and there's this very interesting Twitter thread that I follow from time to time from Lizzie and Content Design London and Mark, and they're like putting up the emails they receive, and it's like, you can tell this email is not user centered because it always says like, in this unprecedented time. It's like, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what you said. It's like you can see that. You can see a huge difference between companies that are only having their content written by people that tend to come more from the advertising or the marketing world.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, everything's weird and everything's strange, but let us push you this message from our company here.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, stop trying to.
It makes sense. Exactly.
Stop trying to be nice and then tell me stuff. Just
exactly. So it's like,
aside for a moment.
But it's very hard, and I completely understand. A company staying silent is complicated.
Yeah.
But finding that right angle that it makes sense, that you can actually provide something for the user, is even more complicated, especially if you've never done it in your life.
Yeah. I think
so maybe you don't have to send that email. Maybe you don't have to send that push notification. Maybe you don't have to do that splash screen. What is in it actually for these people? Are you going to do something about it? Are you going to, I don't know. I mean, so yes, to answer the question, that the transition, we're going to see it a lot. And I think when this thing is over, I hope that more and more companies realize the need for this skill, right? That can definitely
empathy. Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought it'd be so important to worry about what your users are thinking?
No, and it's two things. It's empathy on one side, but it's also, I find that I'm finding so much nice examples of people just being generous.
Yeah. With
their time, with their money, with their smiles, it's like, let's not, when all this passes over, because we're human beings and we tend to forget. Let's try to keep that things. I'm not saying at the same level, obviously it's going to be hard, but I mean, if we could do it now, why can't we do it later? If you're good at what you do and you can dedicate half an hour once a month to someone, take a coffee and just like, I mean, have some questions answered, or if you can help somebody in your local neighborhood or a local NGO, like write an email, do it. Why not?
Help people out. Yeah, it's what we're here for, isn't it? Just
that's what we signed for. At least that's what I understood. That's what we're here for too. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking of helping people out, so you've kind of established yourself now, whether you like it or not, as a bit of a figurehead for content design in Barcelona, particularly, where you've been like doing all this amazing work and sort of nurturing people and running your meetup. So what advice have you got for people who might be in more traditional copywriting roles or want to move into content design from something like, you know, another discipline or marketing, or, you know, what would you say to those people? How could they sort of make that move in that direction and increase the skills that they need?
Okay, first, I didn't get the memo. I was the person that had to talk about this.
Well, you are. I'm telling you now.
Nah, I think it's just I'm very, what's a nice word for it? Because my mom used to call me really, I'm very persistent because my mom is very elegant. So that's why you see me all over the place to try to do stuff. So I think the first, okay, so there's two things, right? When you come, at least here in Spain, when you come from, like, we call them creative copywriters backgrounds, they're really good at writing and really good at persuading, but they're not really good about thinking about who they're talking to. They're amazing at solving a brief and making that company look amazing. So the writing part, you got it down. And that's, in my opinion, the hardest thing to teach.
Yeah,
So
I'd agree.
congrats. Yeah. You've done it. I don't have to teach you how to write. However, you need to understand everything, all the design process that goes before you even start writing. So that means you're going to have to sit down and start reading books. You're going to sit down and start reading articles, listening to podcasts, ask your product designers, ask your researchers how they do their work and how what you do can work better with them. So I think the hardest realization that most of the people that come up to our meetups is like, but I thought this was about writing. And I'm like, sweetie, it's not.
Yeah, that's almost
It's
like
not.
That's almost like the smallest part of our job.
Exactly. So and you have to be curious. You have to be wanting to learn and how to apply all this design methodologies into the work you do with words.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I've heard this from several people. I don't remember who it was the first time I heard it from. Is like, for us, I think it was Scott Cuban, his book Writing for Designers, is like, the unit we use to design are words, as when product designers have pixels. So it's design material. So we have to learn what is behind all of that. We need to understand what are the processes. We need to understand how people think. We also need to understand how people read. When you're a copywriter, you don't care about F-shaped patterns. You don't care about how many words you have to put into an interface so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you don't. That's not something that you need to worry about. Here you do. Because you're not only writing words. It's like what Sarah always says, like, you're designing the content that people are going to see. So the fact that you have a double space, or that you have more white space, or that you put active voice and that you use verbs, and all that counts. Every single thing that you do when you write is a design decision.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that a lot of people kind of move into that area, or move into the content design area from a traditional copywriting thing, almost like expecting there to be a lot of similarities. And I don't know about you, but I found that the work I do now is so different from when I was writing editorial content or customer emails, and it's that even just the way of working sort of alongside designers and alongside product teams is a million miles away. You can't lock yourself in a corner and kind of just write by yourself. It's all about collaboration. So how do you sort of foster that mentality as well?
I think you hit it right there on the spot. The thing is, when you come from like an ad background, even if you're used to working in like creative tandems, that you work the art and copy, it's always like this creative genius that, you know what, I'll go into my corner, into my space, or like get my laptop with my coffee or whatever it is that we used to do, and come up with like these amazing taglines that then we're going to put, and it's going to come like a really nice piece of artwork that you can't do it here. Because basically what the thing is, when you work in advertising, you're trying to solve a problem that's given to you via a brief, and you're trying to respond to a brief. You're not solving a problem. In a way you are. It's a comps problem. But you're more on like, your focus is, how do I resolve this brief? When you work in design, the first thing you notice is like, you have a problem that you need to solve. So if you only attack the problem through writing, it's the solution you provide is going to be not very good.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that same problem and you have the input from the designer, the input from research, the input from code, and the input from content, then you start seeing different ways of approaching solving that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put all those things together, you come with something that the user can actually benefit from and start using. So it's at least the people that come over to me and ask, the first thing I say is like, before you start telling people that you're here to write, is bring chocolate cookies, get them a coffee, and go speak to every single one of your teammates and understand, one, what is it that they do? Two, what is it that's important for them? And three, what do they think you can do for them as a writer? And that'll blow your mind. And that's when you start piecing things together.
Yeah, that's great advice. Cookies, bring cookies.
Always cookies or cake, tacos, whatever your jam is.
Now tacos, now you're talking. Okay, well, it's been really amazing to hear from you, Mario, and you sound like you're still keeping your community in check, and everybody's still helping each other out, which is really amazing, and sort of supporting each other. Maybe we could need to do like a cross city foreign exchange at some point. We'll get some of you over to London, and then we'll come over to Barcelona.
That would be amazing.
Do a
I would love to have
exchange trip.
That would be great. That would be great. Of course. Yeah. I mean, just let us know. I mean, we have companies that generously offer us their spaces. So, I mean, whenever you do come, just let us know, and we would love to have you, all of you, come to Barcelona. It's sunny, and normally it's very nice weather, and it's good food.
And a good beach as well. So what more could you want? I can't offer you that in London, but you might get some sunshine if you're lucky, and a pint down the local pub.
I can do that too.
Well, take care, and thanks for speaking to us today. And if anybody, Mario's on Twitter, so I will share his Twitter handle in the comments below this video, and obviously we'd love to get your feedback on today's session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and to respond very quickly if I can.